Yo, what's up, ladies and gentlemen? Good to see you again. And we've got a matchup against Reiju here, and my opponent ends up winning the dice roll and chooses second, so kind of sucks for us. I would have loved to take second in this matchup, but unfortunately, I am going to be mulliganing that starting hand. A little too top-end heavy for me for this matchup. Reiju's pretty aggressive and also keeps a little bit of that, value as far as hand size is concerned through the leader effect and, a lot of those draw power cards like Reiju. But man, I tell you what, it's so cool to see. Like the meta is very interesting in OP07. I think this is probably the most refreshing, but also slightly annoying meta. Like I think that it's more refreshing than anything because there's so many viable decks that go into a lot of matchups, and I really enjoy that fact. But God, is it annoying when whatever deck you choose, you're guaranteeing that you have at least 1 to 2 potential bad matchups. And you try and build around, being like well-rounded and whatnot, but it's pretty difficult to do. And unfortunately, I don't have a turn 1 play, no Sindri for us, so I'm just going to go ahead and pass it over. But he's got an incredible turn 1 play with the stage to start, gets rid of the 7-cost Ichiji and picks up the 1-cost Sanji. This is a new one for me. It's a 1k counter. I believe this is like an on-play ramp, if I'm not mistaken. I truly don't remember, but at the end of the day, it just ends up being like a 1k counter for him most of the game. But I do have the option of either leader effect or brand new here, but I do want to get a body onto the board, so I go ahead and use the brand new, or hogback, knowing that I'm, full well not going to get a draw out of it, but I just wanted to get some sort of, presence on the board this turn, and I'll go ahead and pass it over. The Reiju has added quite a lot of new cards that make playing against the deck pretty annoying, if I'm being honest with you. So my opponent starts here with I believe a 6k swing to leader, yes, and then ends up using one of the new cards that I was not expecting, which was Porsche. And Porsche is going to take a search of the top 5. And this is really smart because even though he whiffs here, the Dawn -1 still allows him to draw a card. And with the Porsche effect, you get to play out a 4-cost Ichiji here. And, 4-cost Ichiji, anything that's 4k or lower, which brings out a 7k rush for him. That is terrifying. I'm now going to have to take another hit because we don't have any 2k counters in hand. I was not about to drop 3 cards for that. And it's pretty tragic. He cycles out another 7-cost here with stage and picks up another 4-cost Ichiji. So this has gone about as bad as it could possibly go for us right now, if I'm being completely honest. I guess the best thing that did happen was we ended up getting a 5-cost Sabo out of life. So that is like a pretty great on-curve play, but at the same time, I don't have anything to handle Ichiji. I have no reduction in hand as well for my Sakazuki to get any value the following turn into that. So I know that Sakazuki is more than likely just going to be playing into Porsche, but we have 8 cards in hand, which is nice, so it gives me a couple of options. We'll be at 7 once I play Sabo, but I'm just considering whether I want to do a Helmeppo into a leader effect, or if I wanted to do Sabo, or if I wanted to go just 8 into Ichiji leader effect. And I think I even considered just going 10 into Ichiji right here. I really did. But we ended up just going for the Sabo play. I wanted to try and get a 2k counter, and good for us, we do end up getting one right here. I'm going to cycle out my brand new as well as my Isho. So I'll just go ahead and trash these two. I'm thinking about what cards I want to have in trash for a Gecko Moria play in the future, but also simultaneously, like, what is most useful to me in the trash. And I think that brand new wasn't bad, but I actually believe I should have gotten rid of one of my Borsalinos, and you'll see here in just a moment why I think that way. But swinging 5 into life, This is a pretty easy counter for him with yet again another Sanji, just a 1k, you know, a little cannon fodder to get out of that. And now he's back up to 4 Dawn. I've got 7 cards in hand. He does ask me, and I tell him I've got 7 at the moment. And guess what? He hits me with the pudding, which is super tragic because I think that we had finally gotten to a point where my hand actually felt really playable. It felt very good, dealing with the board that was, you know, in front of us at the moment. But pudding is just, it just absolutely wrecked us. He gives it a good cut. We get to draw 5 right here. I luckily do pick back up the Sakazuki and Moria, and I get 3 2Ks, but now I'm staring down a 5K from Leader, 5K from Porsche, and a 7 from the Ichiji. So I know the 5 I'm really just not trying to deal with right now. So I am just going to get the free block with Sabo. He gives me a 7 into Sabo as well, and I'll counter out. But look at this. We went from 7 to 3 cards in hand, and he gets to cycle out another one, finding the third Sanji right there, so a third 1k counter. But does get rid of Judge at the cost of that. But I feel like at this moment, you know, with me being at such a low hand size, he knows that he has another 7 cost Ichiji set up in trash. You don't really have to worry too much about, per se, you know, going tall with Judge right here. You're just trying to defend your board maybe, and just like defend your life and go for, you know, as aggressive of a game as possible. I have, I believe, 7 Dawn to work with. I'm considering whether I'm swinging with Sabo or not, and I think I make a bit of a mistake here. I swing into Ichiji for 7. I don't hate it, but I don't love it. It's a pretty free counter for him. And now I am just going to use Sakazuki to trash a 2k counter, unfortunately, because I know that I want to play Moria the following turn. Even though looking at my trash, I have hardly any Moria plays whatsoever. So Moria is like nothing to me right now. But I'm at 2 cards in hand. This is depressing, you know? It's absolutely depressing. Pudding completely shifted the tides of this game. I think that the start that he had was fantastic, and you see he trashes the large Reiju here to pick up baby Reiju, and he can just play that out for free, get 3 new cards into his hand, which is absolutely incredible. He is going to cycle that out, draw a bunch right here, and still have 4 Dawn to play with. So kind of tragic. He has the opportunity to play the 4 cost Ichiji and bring out the 7 cost, but even better play, just go ahead and rest 3, play Porsche. This allows him to look for another Foxy Pirate cards, which ends up being another Porsche, and then just freely playing out that Ichiji. I'm like staring down this board, wondering to myself, like, where did we go wrong? And I think that it was just not having a 2k counter earlier on, because I would have loved to get out of the 6 or the 7k swing on that one turn, but unfortunately that was just not in the dice. But 6 into my 4k Sabo right here is definitely just going to be dead. And now a 7k swing. If we don't see a 1k or a 2k out of life here, we're going down to 1 life. And now another 7k swing. It sucks because even if I do counter out, I have no play in trash from Moria. So I almost think that I'm just considering gambling and taking the life and hoping that I get something useful out of it. But unfortunately, Hina is not going to be very useful to us, and not a second one's definitely not going to be useful to us, considering we have no Absaloms in the trash. Both Sindris happen to be in my trash as well. So this is what down bad looks like, ladies and gentlemen. We are down pretty bad. I'm trying to figure out whether I can remove one of the Ichijis. I believe he only has like 3, or I think he has 4 cards in hand, and I know one of them is dead. So I want to try and swing at least high enough to get rid of 1. But even just getting rid of only 1 is not really going to work for me. Like, I really need to get rid of both. So I will swing 9 here into the Ichiji. I think that this might have been a little incorrect. I think that I end up deciding to go 9 with Sokka, I believe 7 with Hogback, and then the rest on leader. And so he counters out of this 9k swing with a Sanji and a Reiju. And now he's got 2 cards in hand. I know that one of them is dead, so I'm like kind of banking on the other one also being a dead card in hand potentially. But I'm going to go 7 here. I think that if I had just attached maybe like 1 extra Dawn to each my leader as well as Sokka, I think we would have been fine. But I'm just going to go 7 using leader effect, praying for Hogback, and I do get lucky enough to get it. So I get Hogback onto the board, picking back up my Perona, and I think I just returned the 2 E-shows that I have in trash because they're going to be useless to me in this matchup. But now I've still got to stare down 4 attacks. He's going to be at 5 Dawn. I have to kind of pray that my final life is at 2k. I think even still if it's 2k, like he just has the math to get there. Just double drawing Hina off of life and start of turn was essentially not what I needed the previous turn. But I think this all boils down to pudding and my lack of wanting to get out of the 6k swing when I didn't have the 2k earlier on in the match. My opponent seeing all of his 7 cost and 4 cost ETGs definitely didn't help as well. But yeah, this went pretty poorly for us. But a 7k, we're just going to let it connect. Another 7k, I'll give him a 2k one. And now I'll give him another 2 2Ks, and the 6, I unfortunately got nothing. So I lose the match right here. But had I been able to counter out of that last 6k, I think arguably I could have went for game, but it really does boil down to what he had in life, you know, whether he had a lot of counter power or not. And I believe he had, actually looks like he had 2 1k counters and a 2k, so pretty miserable, all things considered. We definitely had a tough time into this match. I think a lot of things just didn't go our way, but I thought it was a great match nonetheless, because it's really interesting to see where the meta's going and how people are trying out a bunch of different unique decks. I love that. So I personally really enjoyed playing Reiju back in OPO, I believe it was OPO5. And I love to see that it's kind of making a little bit of a resurgence here. But I'd love to hear your thoughts on the match, guys. And other than that, I hope y'all have a great day. Peace.